بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده المنتجب ورسوله المرتضى وأشهد أنكم الأئمة الراشدون المهديون المعصومون المكرمون اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
This is taken from the work of the great scholar of the time, Ayatullah Javadi Amoli, may Allah give him a long life, which is called Adabe Fina-e-Mukarrabaan. And this is a multi-volume work, and we are in reality summarizing some parts of it for the benefit of ourselves and of all the mu'mineen. We've come to, after last week's discussion, we are now at the discussion where we say in the Ziyarat regarding the Imams, khuzzan al-ilm. As we've mentioned before, this is a continuation of the very first phrase, As-Salaamu, alaykum. And we continue that As-Salaamu alaykum through all of these different phrases. So here we are saying, As-Salaamu alaykum ya khuzzan al-ilm. The Imams in essence are linked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And due to the grace of Allah, the Imams can have access to this vast amount of knowledge. Allah can choose to reveal and disclose to them as He pleases. Hence, time does not necessarily limit them. They can have access to knowledge of the past, when maybe they were not even in this world. The present, maybe they are in one place, but they have knowledge of what's happening in another place. And future, they have not even gone there yet in a physical sense, but they have knowledge of it. This is not an issue, because the root of knowledge is not limited. The root of knowledge is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah grants His knowledge to them to access, they can therefore have knowledge of past, present and future. However, in this world, yes, it is possible, due to the limitations of this world, its physical nature, there are things that they do not know, or they choose not to know. There are things which they may not know or choose not to know. So then what makes them different to other people? The difference is between them and other people is that other people have no access at all to this knowledge. It is possible that as a person, I want to know something of the future, but I don't have any access to it. But the Imams, being the key holders, the safekeepers, the vaults of this metaphysical thing known as ilm and knowledge, they can have access to it. This is why we have a hadith in al-Kafi which states, Inna al-Imam idha sha'a an ya'lama alima. It says, verily the Imam of Ahlul Bayt alayhim wasalam, the Imam idha sha'a an ya'lam, if he wants to know something, alim, he will come to know it. So they can have access to any knowledge by the grace of Allah. Of course, as always, it is not independent of Allah and His knowledge, and in reality, Allah is the teacher of the Imams. They gain from Him, they're not independent from Him in any sense of the word. We have one report, for example. It is said that on one occasion, the Holy Prophet's camel was lost, and no one knew where it was. Some of the munafiqeen of the time, the hypocrites, looking at this scene, that the Holy Prophet doesn't know where his camel is, they started to whisper to one another. They started to, cast doubt on the Holy Prophet. They started to make fun. And they said things like, what kind of a prophet is he who says that I receive news from the heavens, but then he doesn't even know where his own camel is? The Holy Prophet heard this and said the following, وَإِنِّي وَاللَّهِ مَا أَعْلَمُ إِلَّا مَا عَلَّمَنِي اللَّهِ. Verily I swear by Allah, I do not know anything except what Allah teaches me. وَقَدْ دَلَّنِي اللَّهِ, and now Allah has told me, عَلَيْهَا, regarding my camel, وَهِيَ فِي هَذَا الْوَادِي فِي شِعْبٍ كَذَا وَكَذَا, and this camel of mine is in such and such valley, قد حبستها شجرة بزمامها, its reins are caught on a particular tree, فَانْطَلِقُوا حَتَّى تَأْتُونِي بِهَا. So go to this place and search until you find it and you bring it back to me. فَذَهَبُوا فَجَاءُوا بِهَا. So these people, they went and they saw that the camel was in exactly the point that the Holy Prophet had said, in such and such valley. Its reins were caught on a tree. It could not move. It was stuck there. They loosened the reins. They rescued the camel and they brought it back to the Holy Prophet. So yes, it is possible from time to time that they choose not to know something, or they don't know something, and that is perfectly normal. But when they do choose to know something, they will be told, or they will be taught, or they will gain this knowledge, or they will get access to that knowledge. Now, some points of reflection. Can other people benefit from knowledge of Ahlul Bayt, and what does that mean? So if Ahlul Bayt reveal their knowledge to someone else, like a companion or a student or anyone, then what? Do we become equal to Ahlul Bayt? Does that mean our status is also like theirs? We have that knowledge, so then what's the difference? No. The difference is that they remain in control. It's not something that leaks out by mistake. It's not like they mistakenly reveal something to someone else. They are in control. What they disclose, when they disclose, how they disclose, to whom they disclose. And they are completely responsible, and they remain in control of it. Can anyone raid the heart of Ahlul Bayt and steal this knowledge? No. No one can forcibly access this knowledge. No one can penetrate the heart of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and take this knowledge. It's not like that. They are completely and utterly in control of this knowledge. They decide what is given and what is not. They control how much of it is given, where, when, and to whom. A question arises here. We know that the Ahlul Bayt don't have certain knowledge. For example, we hear that, for example, the zuhur of the 12th Imam, no one knows when that will be. Even the 12th Imam doesn't know when that will be. Qiyamat, when exactly it will be, the Day of Judgment. We hear these things, that they don't know these things. So then how can we say, if Allah knows these things, of course He knows everything, and they have access to Allah's knowledge, then how come they don't know these things? So this is a very beautiful answer that Agha Javadi gives. He says, it's not that the knowledge is not there, but their will, their irada, their will is in line with divine will. Because they know Allah doesn't want them to access this part of knowledge, they choose not to access this part of knowledge. This is very beautiful. This is despite having access. Because my Lord doesn't want me to have access to this, they choose not to access it. We have a hadith here which says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ جَعَلَ قُلُوبَ الْأَئِمَّةِ مَوْرِدًا لِإِرَادَتِهِ فَإِذَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ شَيْئًا شَاءُوهُ وَهُوَ قَوْلُ اللَّهِ وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Indeed, Allah has made the hearts of the Imams the place for His own will. In other words, they understand the will of Allah. فَإِذَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ شَيْئًا. If God wills something, if God desires something, شَاءُوهُ, they will also desire it. So the moment God desires that the Imam should have access to the knowledge of the zuhur of the 12th Imam, for example, they will have access to it. But He has not willed it. He has not desired for that to happen. Therefore, they also don't desire for it. وَهُوَ قَوْلُ اللَّهِ. And this is reflected in the verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. That you do not desire except when Allah desires.